This is Radio Free Mormon. Good evening and welcome to Mormonism Live. Tonight, our special guest is Cultural Hall, or Cultch, or Cultural Appropriation, or whatever it is he's calling himself now. Cultural Hall is going to show us the fine art of hate watching, using as his example the cool cats over at Psych Ward Radio, the guys we love to hate watch, that is. So sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's episode of Mormonism Live, an episode we call Mormon Hate Watch Theater 3000. Ring!
All right.
Oh, Mr. Reel, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. Good to see you. How are you,
So
Radio Free
excited to
Mormon?
be here. What'd you think of the opening?
I loved it. I loved the intro you read. It connected to the show's theme. It connected to the Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'll just put up on the screen here really quick before we sort of get started, just so folks can see the thumbnail that Cultch created for the show tonight. We've been sort of going back and forth between different ones. I think we'll end up using this one. So great job, Cultch, when we get to here in a moment. But great job creating that.
Yes, absolutely. Great job. Do you have anything you want to talk about? I know, of course, because there's big news. There's big doings in the memory hole business at church headquarters in Salt Lake City.
Do you want to cover that before we bring Cultch on?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's do it. So up on the screen, you'll see the previous plural marriage cartoons in the Doctrine and Covenants stories section on the church's website. So on the left-hand side is the original.
Bill, I should stop here and ask you, how long do you think the story's going to take?
Let's say 5 minutes, because I don't think it'll take long.
Okay, you okay with that, Cultch? You want to come? Oh, let's
just bring them on.
It's
All
so
right.
difficult being a gracious host. At least for me, it is.
Hey,
How are you
fellas.
doing, Cultch?
I'm doing great, man.
What is the correct name now? Is it cultural appropriation?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Cultch. You could call me the podcaster formerly known as Cultural Hall if you wanted to. But yeah, these days it's Cultch.
Okay. All right.
Because of the Cultural Hall fiasco, but you know.
Okay. And I fear that we've totally derailed Bill's story. So Bill, please go ahead.
No, I don't need to say much. Folks can find this story being talked about in a few places out there. I'll just note the original cartoon that got heavily criticized because it was putting into a positive light the manipulatory and predatory practices of Joseph Smith. And it got tons of criticism. It got criticism from Carol Lynn Pearson. It got criticism from Jana Reese, who tend to be pretty mild in terms of how they tackle things with the church. Yeah. So the original had, and you'll see there on the left is the original. On the right is the new one. It's not very big. So you may have to just pause the show and sort of zoom in if you can. I will make it take up the full screen and take us off for just a moment. I don't want to go into detail about all that was left in and all that was taken out. I just want to note sort of what it looks like now. So on the left is the original. On the right is the current. There's a few little changes in the first two pictures in the text that go with them, not in the images themselves, but in the text that goes with them.
You know something? Can you go back there for just a second?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been working on this show today and I haven't really even looked at this. Look at the current one, bottom right, is now, it's been modified. So to make it clear that it's one man, what is it? One man and more than one woman. That's what polygamy is. They went out of their way to clarify the language that was in it originally, which was the Lord commanded a man to be married to more than one wife. And apparently the A was not sufficient to show that it was singular. They changed it to be in marriages of one man and more than one woman. They want to make it really clear, it's just one man with all those girls. It can't be one girl with more than one man, even though that's how it was originally practiced as soon as Joseph Smith married somebody else's wife.
These changes were quite subtle, but when you get to the next set of them, you get quite a bit changed in the text that went with the picture. You get to marry other women. Joseph didn't want to marry other wives, but he knew it was a commandment from the Lord. When Joseph asked a woman to marry him, he told her to pray about it. He wanted her to know from the Lord that it was right. And it's this whole thing of Lucy Walker and other stories that happened as well, where Joseph is putting pressure, spiritual pressure, time limits, and people criticize this. So it got taken out. The picture is still there, but now it's years later. The Lord
And they
told
took out,
Joseph, okay.
and also they took out the entire line. Joseph didn't want to marry other wives because they said, we can't defend that. That one's out of here.
You can't. He seems pretty eager, huh? And so now we have in some other saints to be in Joseph. Years later, the Lord told Joseph, and this is where it changes, and some other saints to be in plural marriages. It was not easy to live this commandment. So there's that. But then when you get to the next one there, it's completely removed. So this commandment was also hard for Joseph's first wife, Emma. That whole scenario is gone, but that's not the only one. Then Joseph teaching the 12 apostles about plural marriage, gone. Brigham Young kneeling next to his bed about his wife, Mary Ann, having to pray about it as well, gone. And then finally you get to the last two and it picks up again. But let's see, it would be like what, the fourth picture? 2, 4, 6. So the fifth and sixth picture there, and so the seventh and eighth. So the seventh and eighth photos in the original, now there's only like 5 photos, cartoon images, I should say, with the text next to them. The original there has some text changed. They really wanted to sort of eliminate the saints being asked to be in plural marriages. People outside the church did not like plural marriage. The bottom sentence there, but the Lord blamed the families who, but the Lord blessed the families who really small on my screen. So sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I thought they were having, like a little truth serum for a second there. The Lord blamed the families. That's what the Mormon
sort
God
of
is.
Yeah, but the Lord blessed the families who obeyed his commandments even when it was hard. So they took all that out. And now it just says the government made laws against plural marriage. Some saints, including church leaders, were put in prison. It basically sticks now to the facts and gets out of saying any of the unhealthy stuff as if it was healthy. And then the final picture is essentially exactly the same.
Except for the polygamy part.
Yeah, that's the one thing that does get left in because they can't help it. So there's that. That's the end of it. But it changed drastically. And I guess we should say, let me bring us back here on the screen. It seems to me an indicator that, number one, somebody in the church now has the ability to go, guys, that's not healthy. Let's change it. You have prophets, seers, and revelators who give the okay for things, who seem to not be able to see around corners of how unhealthy the things they say are. And then the critics out in the bloggernacle, they say, out there in social media, folks like us have to criticize like we did on the Mormon newscast. And it is apparent that somebody has a better ability to discern healthiness from unhealthiness than the guys running the ship at Salt Lake. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Because it's sort of crazy to watch them put that in the first place and then to take it out as soon as things quieted down.
Yeah. And, I'm glad they did this. I'm glad they changed it. It was a bad idea from the get-go, but taking all that stuff out. I'm not saying it's good as it is, but it's not as bad as it was. And I think that's a good thing. And having the church change something is a good thing. The only thing I would ask is that they have an announcement, that there be an announcement that they are changing it and state the reasons for it. Yeah. That would be really, really helpful, I think, for everybody to know. And it would underscore why they've changed it. But I don't know. Was there an announcement that was made, or was this just one of those things that the church changes under the cover of darkness and some, eagle-eyed person out there notices it? And
it just got noticed. It got noticed.
Under the table.
Okay. Well, that's true to form. That part's true to form.
That's how they
because
roll.
It never got changed. It really is weird to read the book 1984. It's been 20 years since I read it, I'm sure, but it's really weird to read it and just go, wow, this guy, he must work at the church office building. Just sticking things down the memory hole, going through the newspapers, tearing things out, making the past conform with the current.
Mm-hmm.
There is another scenario, and the other scenario is that somebody on the post-Mormon non-believing side was part of the project and said, like, you know, just like putting a rainbow in the girl's hair at one time in the ensign to represent the LGBT community, for instance, you could have somebody in the inside the church formulating these and sort of going like, if I just tell the truth, it looks ridiculous. But nobody, if that's the truth, then nobody caught it. And people who are in charge of approving those things would have been sort of fooled into just going like, yeah, that's what we did. And it's healthy. It's the right thing. Let's teach the kids this. So either way, it looks bad.
Yeah. I have a feeling there may have been a chorus of many of the apostles' wives who were in favor of modifying it.
Probably.
Yeah. It doesn't look good.
So are we ready to hate watch and find out what hate watching is and learn the fine art thereof?
I'm ready if you guys are ready.
Cultch, I'm sorry.
What you know what? I can't stop you from calling me it. I told Richie T. Stedman, I wouldn't use it anymore, but I didn't say that you don't have to, RFM.
Yes, the T stands for the. He's Richie the Stedman. But anyway, yeah, that's its own story. I don't know if we have time for it tonight, but we've got a whole lot of hate watching. What is hate watching, and why do you do it so much on your channel? Your channel being called what?
Cultch.
But
It used to be called Cultural Hall.
No, it's been Cultural Hall without the the.
Yes. It was just culture. That was the big thing. He was the Cultural Hall. I was just Cultural Hall, and Richie was cool with it until I started to get a little clout there, and then that was a problem.
What is it, Bill?
I was going to say a little story, which is there used to be Mormon Discussions, which was a discussion board. And then I came along and I did Mormon Discussion, the podcast. Yeah. And I just hung on long enough, and those guys ended up changing. Now they're Discuss Mormonism. So if you just played a little hardball, Cultch, you play a little hardball, maybe it goes your way.
I'm kind of a softy, Bill. Once people start throwing the word lawyer around, I kind of just curl up in a ball.
Richie the Stedman threatened you with legal action?
I mean, not outright, but yeah, his so I'll just do it quick. So I had crossed paths with Richie for about 2 years, just on Twitter. We were very nice. I gave him my TikTok account because I had the Cultural Hall, and I gave it to him just to be nice. And so, sometimes we run into.
Whoa.
Go ahead. Yes.
You had created a TikTok channel for your own use.
Yes.
And you called it the Cultural Hall just because
it was available.
It was available and you took it.
So
Did you have this in mind? Some kind of nefarious scheme against Richie?
No, just when I started my Twitter account, my ex-Mormon account, I went with the Cultural Hall. I had no clue there was a podcast. So I kept it the Cultural Hall for a while until I kind of found out about Richie, and then I dropped the.
And you gave it to him. Did he ask for it before you gave it to him?
He said he wanted it. As we were talking on Twitter one time, he's like, hey, any chance I can get that account? And so we started talking offline, and I said, sure, man, I'll give it to you. So I started a new one, and I gave him the
Well, did he give you any money for you giving it to him?
He was nice. We didn't work out a payment, but he sent me, I think it was like $45.
So this is like you sold it to him.
I gave it to him, and he decided to give me $45 after.
Okay. So he owes you the podcast name, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Turnabout is fair play.
There you go. So we were fine. He was fine with me being Cultural Hall. Like I told him that. I said, Cultural Hall's available. I'll grab that. Okay, cool. He still hasn't done anything with the TikTok channel. It's still my old picture that's up there. And then a couple months ago, I just get this random message from him on Instagram saying, hey, just so you're not caught off guard, I'm checking with a lawyer of mine to see if there's any legal action I can bring with you using Cultural Hall. And we kind of went from there, a little back and forth. I had some lawyer friends I was talking to, and eventually I decided to it was causing me too much stress. So I finally decided I'll give it up.
Okay.
And that's a long story short. So Richie is the Cultural Hall, and now I'm just Cultch.
Wow. Richie the Stedman, how the mighty are fallen.
I don't know. He won. So I guess, am I the mighty that fell?
I don't know. He's not exactly putting the culture back into Cultural Hall.
Yeah. But that's why I'm Cultch these days. Yeah.
Okay. So hate watch. You see, here's a difference between your show and ours. We pick up the pace. Okay. We try not to have dead air.
Yeah, I
All
know.
right.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you have a great show. I love your show and I love watching it. And it's much more relaxed, I think. And maybe we could try and be relaxed tonight. Should we try
That'd
and
be
be
cool. We can
relaxed,
all just
Bill?
be chill.
That means
Oh,
yes.
Bill's muted. You're
Let's,
muted, Bill.
no, let's be relaxed. I don't know. Should we hire like massage therapist to come in? I've watched like
nice.
oh yeah, you're rolling your eyes like something weird has happened. What kind of massages do you get, RFM?
I'm just blinking.
I'm just want a
because
little
I don't know where
shoulder
this is
work.
going, but I'm
The
all
happy
trepidatious
kind.
about it.
I'm not the kicker for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know what you're looking for.
Is that Justin Tucker?
Yeah. That guy, Deshaun Watson did it first, and then of course Robert Kraft and now Justin Tucker.
Is anyone out there as lost as I am right now?
Professional
It's football
athletes
stuff.
who are in big trouble for taking massages too far.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Talking about taking it too far, we should get to this first clip.
Why don't we do that?
Okay.
So what are we doing here? You're teaching us about hate watching because you do it.
Yes. So let me give you a little background about hate watching. So
Thank you.
when I started my YouTube channel, I was trying to figure out what kind of material am I going to be making.
Mhm.
And so I had gotten into a habit of watching Mormon YouTubers. I don't know, call me a glutton for pain and punishment.
So
But I started
Mormon, not
watching.
post-Mormon or ex-Mormon.
No, not post-Mormon. I went over and ventured into the Mormon world. So like Ward Radio, Thoughtful Faith, Greg over at Quick Media, and just started watching. And I hated what I was seeing, but I couldn't stop watching it. It was like a train wreck. And I was like, some episodes would come up and I'd be like, this is so horrible that I have to do something. And so I called what I was doing hate watching. And I said, okay, so essentially it's a response video and I'll just call it a hate watch. And so that's where the hate watch with Cultch kind of came from. And that's where hate watching was born.
Train wreck in slow motion. Cardin Ellis does kind of remind me of Brakeman Bill. That is actually
bit.
so old, I wouldn't expect anybody to get it. And it's so local to Washington and Western Washington that I wouldn't expect anybody to get it. If you get Brakeman Bill, you get a gold star.
I didn't get it, RFM. I often refer to Cardin as a train wreck, especially his Jubilee performance last year with John DeLynn. That was a total train wreck.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Brakeman Bill was a lesser known version of JP Patches.
I don't even know JP Patches.
Well, then you're certainly not going to know Brakeman Bill. So that's what hate watching is. So did you bring some clips with you tonight?
I brought some clips for us to watch. I've got a bunch over on my page that you can watch. They range from like 10 minutes to like 18, so they're not super long. But I'm not going to make everybody watch the whole thing, so I figured we just get some highlights from a bunch of them and see what's doing.
Okay.
You ready for the first one? It'll take just a second to switch over, so let's see here how I want to do this.
And let me tell everyone, you should donate tonight, not for me, but because my stuff is probably going to get Bill's episode demonetized. So please be generous to the fellas tonight.
That's right. You're demonetizing us single-handedly.
Possibly,
You're doing what Cardin Ellis only
am.
dreams he could do.
That's right. Maybe I'm a mole. I'm a Ward Radio mole.
All right, let's see here. View, slideshow. Here it is.
Do you want me to give any heads up on this episode so they know what they're watching, Bill?
Yeah,
sure.
Great.
Okay, so this is back when the whole Fairview Temple thing was going on and was huge news.
Yes, it still is for Rebecca.
I know. It's never going to end for Rebecca. She's
No, it never
gonna get
will.
Over it.
No.
She might as well move to Fairview and make it her permanent residence.
She's their patron saint.
But, Rebecca and Mormonish were doing all their coverage of it. Nemo had just gone and spoken at the meeting. And Mormon world is just pissed that this is going on. They feel like they've been done dirty. So this is Cardin and his Ward Radio news guy, Luke Hansen, getting together.
I haven't seen this much
commiserate.
I'm sorry, I was going to say I haven't seen this much anti-English sentiment since 1812.
Right.
Okay.
So that's basically it. It's me watching and providing some commentary here and there and just letting them talk a little bit.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
You have to be really old to get that one.
Everyone's favorite actor exterminator, Cardin Ellis, is joined by Jacob Hansen's cousin, Luke Hansen, editor-in-chief of Ward Radio News. Seriously, folks, it's not a joke. There's legitimately a thing called Ward Radio News. Luke has impeccable credentials. He did some hard-hitting work for the right-wing student-run, non-BYU approved news site, Cougar Chronicle. And now he works for Cardin Ellis.
You know what I'm saying?
Luke zooms in to discuss an opinion piece he wrote about the Fairview Temple controversy. Now, I'm no journalist, but it seems like a journalist writing an opinion piece could be problematic. They blur the lines of objectivity and credibility. How can you trust a reporter to be non-biased when they write pieces expressing their opinion? There's also a risk of conflict of interest. No big deal, though. Who cares about serious journalism anyway?
You know what I'm saying?
They spend about 18 minutes making fun of ex-Mormons and making and defending straw man arguments. Anyways, enough of the intro. Let's watch this crappy shit.
That's my tagline.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Word Radio Morning Edition. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio via Zoom by Luke Hansen. This is an opinion piece. He usually doesn't step into the limelight and talk about some of the more hard-hitting articles because he wants to be objective. But in this one,
he doesn't give a shit.
So as I start at the beginning of the article that I wrote, if you haven't heard of the Fairview Temple steeple controversy, that's good. Like, your life is better because of it. If you have heard about it, though, and it's been going around, it's the controversy of the month is what I called it in my opinion piece. There's this thing where there's this town in Texas called Fairview. A temple was announced in 2022, and the city is putting up roadblocks to have an exception to the height.
This is what we call truth mingled with bullshit. These roadblocks are just existing zoning laws that inconvenience the Mormon church. Luke wants it to seem like Fairview is the one being difficult here, when it's actually the LDS church that doesn't want to play by the rules.
Because of the height requirements, zoning laws, boring bureaucratic stuff for a small town in the suburbs of Dallas.
Sure, Luke, just boring governmental stuff that literally happens in every town and city. The church has a game plan when they announce temples. Mormonish has covered this extensively. The church buys land in residential areas, gets cozy with the local government officials, in some cases greasing their palms, just like the officials in Las Vegas, gets them to change the zoning laws, and then builds the temple that they want to build. This game plan has worked well for them. It's why they keep calling the same play. But in Fairview, they ran into an actual roadblock, a community that doesn't take shit from anyone.
There you go. That's nice, right? It makes you want to watch more.
Oh, absolutely. What is going on with our friend? What's his name? It's not the cousin, but you said it was the cousin of Jacob, Luke Hansen.
Yeah.
What is the deal with his background? It's that same lavender that Jacob uses.
Yeah.
You know, in his background, I make fun of him. I say he looks like he's broadcasting from sick bay on the Enterprise.
I think it's a cousin thing.
And has
not
Luke
really.
not gotten to the part of the alphabet where they have the letter D yet? That's what I want to know, because he's not saying road blocks. Apparently, he's saying Roblox. Is that right?
Roblox. Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. And I've
It's a
got
fun
little kid
game.
who plays.
It's a fun game the kids are all playing. You're right, Cultch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it? That's a real game, though.
Yeah. Well, that's a reference that you wouldn't know because it's too young.
Yes.
RFM.
Yes. So there's kids who play a game called Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Maybe he's a kid who plays it, and that's why he was making that mistake.
He does look very young. I can't really talk, but
You can. You look at least, I don't know, 45?
maybe.
It's halfway to 90, they say.
I know.
It's all
Also
downhill from here.
That's also what the math says.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm 64, and it was just last week that I was 45. It's getting pensive here. Okay. So do we have something else? There we go. Now, this was from a major Hollywood movie that Cardin Ellis got a part. It was a small part, but it was a very important part. It was The Jackal with Bruce Willis. Did you catch that movie, Cultch?
Yeah. Isn't Bruce
It was a
Willis
great
like
movie.
a hitman or something like that in the
Yes.
movie?
Yes. I felt it was a bit typecasting for Cardin, but he did well with the part.
What? Tell me about this scene. I know you've played it before, I think.
Well, we can't play it again because when we
Well, I
played
know.
it before, it's an amazing thing that it's still up on YouTube without some kind of takedown, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Warner Brothers or somebody. You know,
But
Sony,
what happens
I
to
don't know.
Cardin? What happens to Cardin in the scene?
Me more on behalf of Bruce. But here's the thing. This is a great scene, and you can actually find it on the internet. If you go to YouTube, what do you have to Google, Bill? You have to Google uh, um, Bruce Willis, comma, the Jackal, comma, Jack Black, who looks a lot like Carden in this role.
I
And
was going to say, when you first showed this, I thought it was Jack Black at first.
yes, that actually is Jack Black playing Carden Ellis. And Carden, I think if you just do that, you'll come up with the clip. And it's really remarkable. Very entertaining, I've got to tell you, especially when you keep thinking, this is Carden Ellis. This is Carden Ellis.
He hasn't gotten another Hollywood job since the whole knife on an airplane, has he?
No. His career took a nosedive after that incident. I'm sad to report.
Well, I mean, you'd have to be a serious actor for it to take a nosedive.
This is serious as a heart attack, man.
Okay. Well, the knife on a plane was serious.
Yeah.
I don't
he
think
was
that
doing a.
I
What
don't
do they
think
call
Carden,
those?
I don't think Carden's acting career was serious.
What do they call those series where it's real and it's not like fictional? It's an old term. What is it?
I don't know. I'm very
Real
young.
guys, just anything.
No.
It's like they have
I don't
shows that are real life and they just walk around and follow people and film them.
Reality TV.
Thank you. See, it wasn't that hard. I knew you were thinking it was harder than it was. Reality. This is a reality TV show here for Carden. No, the knife on the plane. That was the reality TV show.
Mm-hmm. He didn't even get it on the plane, Bill. He got it through TSA, and then he ran his mouth to another passenger, and they ratted him out.
Oh my gosh. I think he was trying to aid TSA in their efforts to increase their ability to find knives, right? Hey, you missed this one, and I had it stuck up my. So you might want to look there on all the other passengers in the future.
That's the best story. I love that story about Carden.
Yeah. He's a hero. So what's the next one?
All right, let's put it up. Give me a moment here.
I think we riff on the still photos longer than the actual.
Isn't
Do you
that
want to
thumbnail
say anything?
great?
Do you want to say anything about this one, Cultch?
This is the second
It's-
part of that same one. I made him into two.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure which part's gonna come up, so I don't know. It's just more of the Fairview stuff. But let's see. I'm
watch
sure
it
it's
then.
great.
To like, I don't know, the Savannah, Georgia temple groundbreaking town council and just be like, you must know the Mormon to like, I don't know, the
Sorry, I
Savannah,
messed up.
Georgia temple groundbreaking town council and just be like, you must know the Mormon church is horrible. You know what I'm saying? And just like, there's a bunch of Southern gentlemen and a really nice lady just sitting there being like, I dare say, my friend, where are you from? You know? And it's just like, we be church bad, you know? And it's just like, what?
He's a generational talent. I'm surprised he's making Mormon videos in his garage and not up on the big screen. Oh well, c'est la vie. And now, Luke's final thoughts.
Anti-Mormons fighting for a town like Fairview on behalf of a policy like height restrictions sounds like a satire piece Jonah Barnes would write.
Her?
Not the anti-Mormon news of the month.
That's so true.
And it wouldn't be a Ward Radio episode if Carden didn't plug every way in the universe that you can support his channel.
If you want to check out our merch, the merch is super fun. You can buy the merch there. And if you want to contribute to the channel, please make sure that you check us out on Zelle, on Venmo, or on the Cash app.
He's a gem.
Not.
Ward Radio clearly has some strong feelings about the opposition to the church attempting to violate the law in Fairview, Texas. Rather than dealing with the facts, they come up with explanations to
Speaking of
that's what
being
that was
able to
about.
help people, how can people help your channel, Bill? Since
How can
Carden
people-
needs to?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
how can people
Let-
help you out?
Oui, but you must say it in French.
Yeah, I will not be doing that Louisiana Cajun voice, but I will say this. In the very first clip, you light into them a little bit because they're claiming to be a Mormon news and they're not objective. Well, when we do the Mormon newscasts, neither are we. At least I'm not, for sure.
Mm-mm.
But there does have to be some amount of seriousness if you claim to be a newscast, for sure.
Well, the
if
thing
folks
is,
do-
Luke
Go ahead.
Luke is a journalist graduate from BYU. He is.
There's a difference.
He claims to be a journalist. He's got the degree. Yet he works in immigration and not in journalism. But unless you
Yeah, I'm
count
just,
working for Carden.
I'm just a carpet salesman, pawnbroker, hack turned into a podcaster who's covering the news.
Newsman. You guys do a good job with the news.
Good. As far as you said it, I'll just say it really quick. Let me name all the places you can donate to us. Or let's not. Let's just move on to the next clip. No, I don't think that would be a good move after just watching him name all the things that you could donate to.
Yeah, we need to get more things to donate to, Bill.
Yeah, let's do Zelle and Cash App and all the things.
If we had a ball cap with some kind of insignia on it that related to the premortal existence, what would it say?
Make the premortal life great again.
Okay. Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I put you under pressure. We're live. It wasn't horrible.
Hey, yeah, it wasn't good either.
Well, I didn't say it was.
No, it wasn't. All right. Are you ready for the next one, or do you want to, we can keep,
No, I'm good. I'm ready to go to the next one. Let's go.
Okay, while we're going to that, I want to ask that out there to the audience too, because they don't need prompts from me in the live chat. It's its own party going on 24/7 out there. But what do you think that the slogan would be for a Mormonism live ball cap? Not that we're going to make one. Maybe
you're muted.
yeah, but that relates to the premortal existence, because they've got, what is it, veteran of the war in heaven or something like that?
War in heaven veteran.
War in heaven veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, originally it said veterinarian, but then Cardin's wife said it was misspelled.
If the leaders of the church were wrong about how some members of the church were valiant or not valiant, isn't it possible that they were wrong about valiancy as a complete idea in the pre-existence? In other words, how do they know who's more valiant when in the past they couldn't figure out who was more valiant?
Yeah, I don't think they use the V word anymore.
Yeah. No, they disavowed that.
Valiant. I don't hear a lot about valiant anymore.
No.
I guess valiant in your testimony of Jesus.
Right? There was the fence sitter stuff. And then I would hear growing up, like, people who were born with disabilities, like they were so valiant that they got sent to like a body where they would, no matter what, they were going to get to go back to heaven.
That's not how Harold B. Lee taught it, Cultch.
Yeah.
Harold B. Lee originally taught it that the handicapped people were less valiant.
No.
So wait, hold on. I've said this before, but I think it's hilarious. Imagine you're at General Conference. In the seat next to you is your 9-year-old son, Tommy. Tommy is wheelchair bound. You have to change his diaper twice a day. You have to feed him through a tube. And the reason you have this kid who you have to expend so much time and energy taking care of is because he didn't fight for Jesus in the pre-earth life. Can you imagine the sort of thoughts and feelings that theology would cause a parent to think about their child? That's absurd.
Wow.
That's why they switched it right away. They were like, Harold, we're going to go with the opposite of that because I don't think we want to follow this to its logical end.
Man.
And
I
they
got a hat
switched
for
it.
Steve. War in heaven, Switzerland, for the people that didn't want to.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, Cardin's mommy was very happy when they changed that doctrine.
There we
have
go.
another.
Yep. Let's.
Suddenly it's Mormonism after dark. I apologize. Let's try and be professional, okay, guys? Whatever happens, let's try to be professional.
Will you
I
add?
tend
Will
to
you?
be-
Will you add the slideshow back up to the screen there?
Me?
Yeah, because all I can see is the slideshow, and this will make the transition a little easier if I can just tell you guys to put it back up.
Whoa.
So, what is this, Cultch?
I grabbed that
okay.
as a screen grab to put it up as an
Ooh.
introduction so you'll know.
Doesn't
what
that
comes
look
next on
crazy?
this one.
It looks like John with devil horns. So I found this random Mormon YouTuber who's got a channel called Latter-day Saint Ideas. And he's very small. He's got like 1,500 subscribers. But he did this whole like 2-part podcast about how John DeLynn is leading people out of the church and he's causing faith crises to get money from people. And I just thought that was so silly. So I was like, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but I want to hate watch his stuff. And so I made this video.
And now he's going to pretend to be an accountant and get into some of Mormon Stories' financials. According to the IRS, the top anti-Mormon organization, Mormon Stories Podcast, made around $750,000 in 2021 and again in 2022. And their CEO, a former member doing this full time, pocketed 30% of that revenue each year,
about $250,000 every year.
Andrew points out that Mormon Stories, a nonprofit business, made some money and paid their CEO a generous salary. This makes me think of another nonprofit business that also generously compensates its CEO. And not just the CEO, the entire leadership team. Don't believe me? Just listen to Nemo here.
Nemo here. We've established in previous episodes that the general authorities of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints get minimum $120,000 a year as a stipend. Adding up the first presidency, the quorum of the 12, the presiding bishopric, and the first quorum and presidency of the 70, the church spends a little over $14 million a year on the stipend for these leaders.
This nonprofit business, and I'm doing that in quotation marks, by the way, this nonprofit business made nearly $29 billion last year. And according to the Widow's Mite report, they also received donations. How much, you ask?
We estimate roughly $7 billion in donations of all types.
So where does this money come from? According to their own IRS tax filings, their main source of income is donations. So who is donating money to them? It's not active members of the church. And I think we can rule out people of other faiths because they would be donating to their own churches. It's former members who've lost their faith. So if your business model is built on donations from former members, how do you grow your business? You make more former members, especially the kind who feel angry and hurt enough to regularly donate money to try to bring down the church.
You can always tell when people are commenting on a subject that they aren't very familiar with. To assume that the only people donating or supporting Mormon Stories are former church members is ignorant at best. If Mormon Ideas Guy was more familiar with Mormon Stories, he'd probably know that over half of their audience are never Mormons.
60% never Mormons listen to your podcast, and I was one of them.
And I can understand why he thinks this, considering that for the most part, Mormons only donate their money to the church and not to any other institution or charity.
Yeah. And I'll just say, by the way, when the clip is over, RFM, if you want to click the button and make that one disappear, just bring the three of us back up onto the screen. But I wanted to just show something to this. I sent you this the other day, and I was quite surprised by this. And I sent it to you, and I think you were surprised by this.
Yes.
We did a survey on our channel to know who our audience is. And we got 1.4 thousand votes. And there's somewhere between 6 to 20,000 people who watch any given episode. So 1.4 thousand votes I thought was pretty good. And 2% believing members of the church, 8% nuanced progressive Mormons, almost 60% ex-Mormon, but 31% of the viewers to our show have never been Latter-day Saints or Mormon. That to me stood out quite a bit. So Cultch, I think you make a great point that John is getting 50, 60% of his viewers are non-Mormon. Once I saw this survey, that made complete sense to me, especially as big as his viewership is on YouTube.
Yeah, it
Also,
seems
by
like
the-
go ahead, RFM.
I was just going to say I have to challenge his fundamental assumption, because the same line of reasoning would lead us to the conclusion that the Dental Association of America is involved in giving bad dental health care and bad dental health care advice to their patients so that they will get more cavities and come back and create more business for them.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Yeah,
there
I was
are,
going to
if you look
say,
I was going to say, if you look at the comments, I wanted to get to your point, but I just want to note the comments here. There are, $10, Never Mo Money, Golly Sinatra.
nice.
Never Mormon, hooked on Mormon Stories for years now. I'm a Never Mo, and I donate to anti-Mormon content. Yertle the
You'll be
Myrtle.
blessed for that.
Turtle.
Yertle the
Yeah.
turtle.
I don't know what this one means. New Mo here. So I don't know if that's a new Mormon or what that is, but maybe that's a Never Mormon as
Nuanced,
well.
I think. Nuanced Mormon.
Gotcha.
Ah, that makes sense. Nuanced Mormon, perhaps. That's
But
the one I hadn't heard.
There were 3 Never Mormons who spoke up right there saying that they watch this show and donate to anti-Mormon content.
Yeah, the ceiling I've found, Bill, in this space, the ceiling for ex-Mormon content, there's only so many of us. So probably the ceiling is maybe like 100,000 people. So if you're going to get a bigger channel, say like a Mormon Stories, or even take like an Alyssa Grenfell, who's up in the 300,000s now, you have to appeal to an audience outside the Mormon niche. And so Mormon Stories is pretty effective at that. Alyssa's really good at that. And it looks like you guys are doing pretty well at that too, if you've got 30%.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. What was funny with this video is that talking about money, like lots of people donated to me in this. There were lots of super chats and super thanks. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to subliminally do more videos about money. And then people would give more donations. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting thing that I observed.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for the next one, or do you guys want to chat about that clip?
I think I'm good unless you guys have anything else.
I can't even remember that clip, so we may as well go on to the next one.
Okay.
That's a good
What was the
reason.
last clip about?
It was that guy.
It was John Dehlin and accusing him of taking a salary.
Right. The money thing, of course.
It's a weird thing,
Crisis
right?
For profit. Yeah.
The podcast arena that we do, Mormon Discussions, Radio Free Mormon, Mormonism Live, Mormon Stories, Mormonish. The crux of the podcast is the host creating the content. If folks want to support the content being made and you want somebody to have the time and energy to put into it, you have to pay them. By the way, Fair Mormon brings in way more in donations than we do. Jacob Hansen, you saw Cardin Ellis there begging for money. You know he wants to make as much money as he possibly can. Jacob Hansen is setting up his channel to bring income in. For these guys to make claims about us being the bad guys when the church hid billions of dollars by creating dummy companies, and each of these hosts is formulating their channels in ways as to make as much money as possible, seems to make such an absurd point. You got to look in your own backyard. Not that this guy that said it is doing that, but look in your own backyard. Everything on the Mormon side at this point. David Alexander, you don't think that guy's trying to make a few bucks? We have been clear from day one saying, donate to the podcaster and help support them so that they can keep this podcast going for years into the future. Nobody is tricked in any way. And the folks who donate to the show know what they're donating money to. They're donating so that the creative host under the channel can produce content like Radio Free Mormon.
Yeah, I think hypocrisy is actually in the job description for Mormon apologists.
Yeah, totally.
In this video, I even say that, like, I think I mentioned Jacob and I mentioned Ward Radio by name, that like they put out a product and they should get paid for it. So just like XMO content creators do, I think Mormon content creators should get paid because it does take work, you know, so we should be compensated for it. I agree with that totally.
Well, unless you're Cardin Ellis, it takes no work.
Well,
I don't watch him much.
He gets other people.
You know, he never ever does anything before he hits live.
I know. That's
Except
so true.
he adjusts his t-shirt to make sure his garment line is showing. That's all the show prep he does. He doesn't read anything. He doesn't watch anything. Zip, zero, nada.
I like it when his buddy goes, he called me the most toxic person on the internet, and Cardin's like, yeah, I've seen like 30 seconds of his content, but yeah, that's totally true.
Yes. And that means zero, by the way. 30 seconds is zero.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so next one.
Yep.
It's here if I can do this, Bill.
If you want to put it up.
Okay. There's RFM putting it up, baby.
What do you want to say about this one, Cultch?
Okay. So this was actually from the first Hate Watch that I did. This was a Ward Radio episode where Kwaku went off on, if you guys know who Haley Rawl is from the Girls Camp podcast.
Yes.
She really rubs them the wrong way for some reason. I don't know if it's because she's like a cute white ex-Mormon girl who's got a popular podcast. But Kwaku goes off for like 15 minutes on her. And I thought
this was remarkable.
Kwaku's
usually a little more maintained than this.
Yeah. No, he was very mean in this episode. So
yeah, this is the Mr. Hyde, not the Dr. Kwaku.
But there was one moment that got particularly dark. Let's take a look.
I would love for Antifa, the actual anti-religion, anti-established people to watch you, because they would say, to the wall with her, to the wall with her, to the wall with her. What the hell? Those people would hate you. If you were just sticking to your if you were just sticking to your, here's why I think the religion's bad, fine. But the fact that you're bragging, the only thing protecting you from the people that would destroy everything you love is the culture of that religion you hate.
Let me get this straight. He wants Antifa to watch her so they'll take her to the wall? If Kwaku really is a comedian, he's into some dark fucking humor. God damn.
If you want to take it back off the screen.
I got to ask you something, okay?
Yes.
It doesn't sound pleasant, but I'm not familiar with the expression "to the wall with her." It doesn't, I mean, is this like a shooting, an execution kind of thing, or is there something else to it?
To me, I took it as that.
Yeah, I don't think it would be
if there's
anything
another
better
meaning
than
in
that.
it. No, that's
To the
why I
wall
was
with
like,
her and give
holy-
her some flowers. It's not
Yeah,
like
that's why I was like, no, I was thinking like The Handmaid's Tale when they take him to the wall.
I haven't seen it. Maybe tell me what happens.
That's where they hang them.
Oh, so this is probably a Handmaid's Tale reference. Is that what you think, Bill?
Yeah, and I'm bothered again by the believing side, and these guys do it over and over again, sort of recommending violence, sort of trying to get people fired up in a way that indicates that violence is the right reaction in the wrong setting. This isn't the first time these guys have done this, and it certainly stands out as inappropriate. I don't think in all the time we've done our show that we've ever recommended or talked about someone physically hurting another person.
Well, we played
Not
that
that
clip
I've
from the
seen.
Jackal.
We did, but that's just a movie clip.
It is,
It is.
but I wished real hard. And I closed my eyes and I clicked my heels 3 times.
You didn't have on the ruby red slippers.
They're gone.
Hmm.
All right, so are we ready for the next one?
If only
Yeah,
you could
man,
twinkle
let's
your
go.
nose like Samantha.
Oh, we're getting
I
into
can't.
the,
I never have
the
been able
Jacob
to.
Hansen ones.
Oh,
Is this
I don't.
the right one, or is it on a different one?
I don't. Do we want to? I was going to make a joke, but I don't know if it's the right joke to make, so I can just leave it alone. Give me 1
Well,
second
go ahead.
here.
Somebody's got to make me sound, cultured tonight.
All right, I'll just note when he was in the video, his arm was up, and I got little arms, by the way. These are little arms.
Yeah.
That's a little arm. I mean, that's a tiny arm. So I was checking to see if I could find other pictures of Kwaku. I found this one.
Oh my Lord.
And that wasn't the only one. I found this picture of him too. There was this one too. So I don't know what. I don't know. Anyway, I
Kwaku's actually bulked
I thought
up
I
a
had
lot.
little arms. Anyway, Kwaku's got little arms.
If you watch him when he was like on his the Tit Show and Saints Unscripted, he was tiny. But like he's put some work in at the gym. He went from Urkel to Herschel, like Herschel Walker. He's big now.
Good.
Oh yeah, he's totally
Good for
Herschel
him.
Walker.
That must have been recorded some time ago.
Wow.
Well, it could have been a bit ago, Bill.
All right, if you'll put up that Jacob is dazed and confused.
Folks,
Is it up
I
there?
have no idea. Even I could not have imagined that Bill would go there.
All right, here we go. Do you have the dazed and confused up? I'm not able to see the screen.
Oh, hang on a second here. Dazed and confused. There it is.
Jacob.
Here's the next clip from a hate watch of yours, right, Cultch?
Yes. I enjoyed doing this hate watch. Jacob released this episode that I think he called like, where are we going from here? And the thumbnail said like divided and confused. And this was Jacob's ode to like the church being too nice to gay people and trans people, and his appeal to the leadership to stop being such nice people to the people that he doesn't like. And I just
know
found
he was
it
actually falling
despicable.
for it. He was falling for it. This is where they say nice things and about the people that the church discriminates against, and they say nice things about him. And Jacob gets his knickers all in twist because he thinks they mean it.
Right.
Everybody's least favorite Mormon apologist, Jacob Hansen from the Thoughtful Faith podcast, and watching his episode entitled, Can We Go On Like This? Or as he titles it on his thumbnail, Divided and Confused. Thoughtful Faith is a one-man show, so unlike our Ward Radio episode, we don't have a cast of characters to introduce. Fun fact, I'm the one who gave Jacob the moniker Thoughtless Taint. And guess what? He loves it. See? Jacob is known for 2 things, his terrible podcast and challenging complete strangers on Twitter to fight him or debate him. He's personally challenged me to at least a dozen debates, but I have a strict no debating douchebags policy. Here's one from when I posted this video about him.
Every dollar that the church uses is for humanitarian aid. The building of temples is a form of humanitarian aid if you really believe that temples and temple covenants do good for humanity. In fact, I would argue that the greatest poverty program in the world is the LDS temple program. Because when people make and keep covenants in temples, when our missionaries go and teach people to live the laws of the gospel, we actually fight poverty.
How dumb is that? Here's another one. He challenged me to debate after I posted this Brad Wilcox video.
The non-believers are the ones who will step on anybody they have to in order to get to their own selfish desire and reach their own selfish goal.
Kevin nailed this.
Debating with Tate is literally the least important thing that anyone can do and is literally the largest waste of time. One could stare at a blank wall for hours, years even, and that still wouldn't be as much of a waste of time as debating with Tate for a few minutes.
Remember when I said Jacob challenged strangers to fights? This guy made fun of him, so we challenged him to a boxing match. Here's Jacob cosplaying as a boxer. And here's Jacob with a nice black eye after getting his ass kicked.
Aww.
He also got his ass kicked by this guy. They challenged each other to an MMA match. It didn't go well for Taint. He got submitted by chokehold within about a minute.
Frustrated because I don't have room to work and try to work a submission. So as he holds on to me tight, I say, hey, let's go ahead and take Jacob Hansen for a ride. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the
Fatality. That's so satisfying. I can never watch that enough.
I know. It's awesome. You wonder why I get under people's skin, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That episode for me was just, if you've watched the Jacob episode, it just, man, if you've got any sort of like empathy for the LGBTQ community, you watch that and you're pissed off. And that's how I felt.
I was like, what is,
yeah, go ahead.
What is this power that Jacob Hansen has over you?
I don't know. I just like, if there's someone that I love to hate watch, it's his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like I could watch all his stuff and sit there and watch it. I've probably, with my YouTube premium subscription, I've probably made him at least $50, I'd say.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the razor's edge? You know what the razor's edge is?
No, tell me.
It's the line between love and hate.
I'm right there, I think.
I think so.
A little bit. I've given him a break though. I felt bad. I felt like I was getting to Jacob a little bit. He kind of had a little tantrum on Twitter. Maybe we'll talk about later, but so I gave him a little break.
What did you think about that, Bill?
What did I think about what? Jacob getting into a boxing match?
Getting his ass handed to him in the ring.
The body slam didn't look too terrifying, but he got choked out. Like the guy kicked his ass, and then he gets into a boxing match and he ends up getting his ass kicked. You'd think a guy like that would just learn to stop inviting people to beat him up.
It's possible he likes it.
He likes to fight. There's supposedly going to be a rematch sometime. I'm still waiting.
I've heard sometimes he says candy bar, candy bar.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, no. Nobody knows what that means. If you know what that means, write it in the live chat.
What? There's a guy in the chat that says he was there for that fight.
Really?
Yeah. He said it was fun to watch.
I'll bet it was.
They were like outside and it was snowing on them.
On April 6th.
Yeah.
2024.
Mm-hmm.
The Thrilla in Manila.
In Manila. If anyone wants, I have a playlist of these hate watches on my channel. So if you're like, where do I find these? Just go to playlists and you'll see them all.
If you're
Cultch?
On Cultch, yeah.
If you're talking about battles where someone got their ass kicked, the next one is my favorite, actually.
Really? What happens? Oh, I see it below.
Put it up on the screen.
Okay, so which one? I'm going to do this one.
It should say no, I don't think so. It should say the debate versus commentary, right?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
There's two of them, actually. But,
notice the bulletproof vest.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm getting so used to seeing those that I don't even think about it anymore. That these guys wear bulletproof vests. Well, at least Kwaku and Brad had their United States American flag facing the right way. Yeah. That's all I can say. But I put this up here mainly because I want an excuse to put this comment on the left about Jacob. This is one of his fans. I think this is his mommy. Jacob routinely reaches out to the critics and nearly all of them cower in fear. I quiver with fear. by either ignoring him or making excuses for why they won't grace his challenge with his presence. It's the critics who are unwilling to debate, damn it. The critics of the church aren't interested in debating anyone. They can't stand up to the intellectual challenges face to face. They know if they do, it will undermine their perfectly tuned echo chamber. To which I had to respond, like when RFM debated all 3 midnight Mormons a few years back.
Yeah.
People's memories. So short.
Remember. They're going to remember. I'm doing an episode on this soon, RFM. They're going to remember.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah. I watched the whole thing. I've watched it twice recently, and you mopped the floor with those guys. Like, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, well, thank you. It shall be in our cups freshly remember read.
And one of the reasons it wasn't close was because of comments like what we're about to play next.
Oh, that's right. This is why I did put, it's all of the piece, isn't it? Because I went to your stuff and I saw that you had done that stuff with the debate with the 3 midnight Mormons. And so that's why I came back and put this in before it. So yes, this is remarkable. This was the highlight of the entire evening as far as I'm concerned.
Look at the look on his face here. He's struggling to figure out basic math up there.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh. Hang on a second here. I think I have the wrong one up there, Bill.
Don't criticize.
Let's go back.
That's my fault, everybody.
That's all right.
There are 2 down here that look similar because they are one's mine and one's Bill's, I think.
Yeah. Is it up there now?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
It is wrong to criticize the leaders of the church, even if the criticism is true. I don't know where this "don't criticize leaders of the church" came from.
It's wrong to criticize leaders of the church, even if the criticism is true.
Get it out of your system. Get it out of your system.
Literally happened. You weren't adding a laugh track there.
No, that was legit what was going on. I added the Curb Your Enthusiasm music, but yes, that was laughter from the audience.
Can we really blame a guy for not knowing a quote from Elder Oaks in the PBS special, The Mormons, I think? When this guy self-admits he doesn't know the names of the members of the first presidency.
Ah, you're talking about the Jubilee episode
Yes.
where Cardin was trying to play stupid.
Loud. You could expect him to quote a guy whose name he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't remember the 12 apostles. And she goes, well, certainly you can remember the top 3. Well, President Nelson, and I don't know, sometimes I can't remember.
And this is all, of course, Cardin trying to back and fill and make excuses for why it is he doesn't know the name of the General Relief Society president.
If a guy is not aware of the Elder Oaks quote, it is wrong to criticize leaders, even if the criticism is true, and they self-admit that they don't know the names of the top leaders of their church, who they believe are prophets, seers, and revelators, should said person be commenting on Mormonism at all? No.
Well, he should have a very popular show with 40,000 subscribers, Bill.
Well, it's either that or just imbibe pesticides full time.
Yeah. 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 Cardin Ellis.
Is that real?
Yes.
Is that just a rumor? I hear that. I hear that
his mother was like the clumsiest mother who ever lived and was dropping him every hour on the hour when he was a baby. No,
I thought it was the paint. I thought it was the paint chips. Didn't he say once that the red paint chips are the best tasting ones?
Well, that's because he likes to mix them in the pesticide. It gives them that little piquant flavor.
The story I heard was that he apparently was trying to show a customer that the pesticide that they used wasn't dangerous to people. So he like uncorked it and drank. I don't know if that's true. That's just the story I hear.
Yeah.
Folks may not know what we're talking about because this is a little more obscure, but who was it? You, Cultch, or was it? Where did it come from, RFM? Where somebody found old commercials of Cardin Ellis being the commercial advertising media video putter together person. He's in the videos. He's acting it out of advertising for a pesticide company, and I assume he worked for the pesticide company.
I think it's his company.
Well, it's on YouTube, Bill. They're there still. I think it's called. Well, I don't want to say the name of it because but they're on there.
You want to get rid of your plants. You don't want to get rid of
when you got a guy who really cares about his job as what do you call it? When you use pesticides, what are you? A pest? No, what are you? What are you?
Something control, insect control?
Insect control, pest control. Okay.
Pest control.
When you got a pest control guy who really, really loves his job, it's important enough to you that you want to make sure that the pesticide is going to kill the rats. And there's only one way to do it.
Yeah, drink the stuff yourself.
Just give it a taste.
Yeah.
There's also videos of Cardin in New York from the time that he lived there doing weird stuff. There's one where he's in his underwear running around the streets of New York. That's a good one if you can find it.
Oh, yeah, with the cape.
Yes, it was actually a giant wet wipe. I think it was a giant wet wipe he was doing a commercial for.
Really? Wow.
He took it on the subway. He was wiping down the poles. He was in the streets with it as a cape in his underwear.
He sacrificed this for his art.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I'm going to see if I can put this back on the stage.
It'll be.
And now here's a clip from your episode about when Dan Reynolds resigned from the church, and then Jacob wanted to take issue with his resigning from the church.
So Jacob is, and we say it all the time, and this goes to quote this to Colby Reddish, who's out there in the chat, clout shark, that Jacob likes to attach himself to bigger names, whether it's criticizing people or trying to get on shows with people, say like an Alex O'Connor recently. This was months back, so he was trying to jump on Dan Reynolds' coattails, and I think he just knows that if he ties himself to a bigger name, he'll get more eyeballs on his stuff. So in a way, that's smart, but he's a clout shark.
That's why we had you on, Cultch.
There you go. Well, I'm on because I'm clout sharking on you guys. You are the bigger channel.
Okay, here's this one.
Back again. Shady's back.
The singer Dan Reynolds announced that he is stepping away from the church. Where is Dan going now?
Where will you go?
And I want to say that again. The question is, where are you going now?
What will you do?
What are you going to do today, Napoleon?
Whatever I feel like I want to do. God!
That's right, folks. We're back again with another Thoughtless Taint-themed episode. I thought we were done. I really did. I wanted to be done. But
just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
We're going to be watching Jacob's video entitled Imagine Dragons Dan Reynolds Leaves Mormonism. Where will he go?
Where will you go?
Now, Jacob jumped on this story fast. And you know what? He was pretty smart to do so, because Dan is a big name. And glomming onto someone famous is going to increase your clicks and clout. And as we all know, with Jacob, that's what it's all about. The gist of his video is that Dan Reynolds left the church, and because Jacob's a black and white thinker, he believes that there's only two paths a person can take. The Mormon path to Kolob, or the path that everyone else takes to misery and hellfire. And as you probably noted from the intro, Jacob pulls an M. Russell Ballard, and he gives us all his best
"Where will you go?"
impression. All right, enough of this intro. Let's get into this shit. If you haven't seen my previous episode I did on Jacob, you got to check it out. It'll help you better understand his disgust for the LGBTQ community and their supporters. And you'll also get to see this.
That's a good episode. You guys should go watch that. That's a good one.
I'm supposed to be taking that down, Bill. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries.
I'm just enjoying watching, you know.
You just hate watching.
I'm hate watching. I lost track of. Sorry.
It is a weird thing, right? Like, here's this world famous singer who's won awards, super creative artist, written beautiful music. All the examples we have of him in the public eye is he is kind and nice to everyone who comes into his path. I've had experience with Dan personally and consider him a stand-up individual. It's such a strange thing.
Love Loud Festival, supporting the LGBTQ community.
It's such a strange thing when you think from the insider's point of view. You're a believing Mormon. You just know your Mormonism is the only true and living church with which the Lord's well pleased. And anybody who does anything counter to that, you just in your brain, the only thing you can come up with is that they're somehow lost and fallen and designated for some horrible outcome at the end, when in reality, Dan doesn't even know who Jacob Hansen is, and Dan's living his best life. And who's really the bitter person? Who's really the person who's having the hard time sort of dealing with the fact that things don't add up and lots of people walk away?
I know, and it's a strange question to be asking once, let alone twice, right?
Yeah.
Where will you go when obviously whatever the answer is, Dan's going somewhere.
Yeah. Dan's going wherever the F he wants to. He's that big of a
It's
success.
on an upward trajectory.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I thought that Napoleon thing was that's where I came up with the idea for that, which has become one of my most popular shorts.
Really?
Yeah.
It's whatever I want. God.
Yeah. Whatever the heck I want. Gosh. Napoleon's great. I love that.
That's a great movie the first 3 or 4 times you watch it.
Yeah.
I made it through once.
Ooh, you got to try a second and third. It gets better.
Okay.
And then go watch Nacho Libre.
You mean better than the first time?
Oh, yeah. Second time's way better than the first. The third's better than the second. By about the fifth, it starts to lose its edge.
It's a pretty high bar.
You've heard all the lines. You got everything memorized by then.
Yeah.
Bill's right.
So now we've got, if you'll hang on just a second here, Bill. See, now we've got the next slide, which I just put up on the stage. I'm going to try and remember. Okay, hang on a second here. Okay, I'm going to take it off.
Did I call into Mormonism After Dark? Yeah, I did.
I called into Mormonism After Dark. This is another one of your shorts.
Mm-hmm. I hope it's short.
Yes.
Anyone
profanity alert for everybody out there. Profanity alert. This was on Mormonism After Dark.
Earmuffs.
Cultch is on the phone.
Did you guys know that you have been challenged to a debate by one Jacob Hansen?
Fuck Jacob Hansen.
Play that on a loop.
He's a fucking douche canoe. You're nuts, Jacob.
Cultch is on the phone. Cultch, are you there?
I'm here, Bill.
Hey, welcome to Mormonism After Dark. What's on your mind?
Sounds like you're feeling better.
Thank you. There we go. Sorry, guys. One sec. Of course, my AirPods die right when I get on.
Isn't that always the way? That's okay. We'll just listen to the music while you munch on your AirPods.
This section's sponsored by Apple. #1 in technology. Folks, visit Apple today at apple.com. All right, go ahead, Cultch. Back to you.
Okay. So, did you guys know that you have been challenged to a debate by one Jacob Hansen?
Do you know what I almost said? Should I just say it, Bill, what I was thinking, what came to mind?
Say whatever you'd like.
Fuck Jacob Hansen.
Play that on a loop.
He's a fucking douche canoe.
That's one of my favorite sound bites of yours, RFM. So great.
Well, thank you. I apologize. Once again, I was just trying to get used to the format of Mormonism After Dark and the liberty that it affords me.
Mm-hmm. That's why I like it. You guys are a little bit more loose. You know, you can let some cuss words roll.
A little bit. I'm probably half in the bag by the time the show starts.
You get better as the show goes along, Bill. You can kind of see the progression.
Good.
So who do you think Jacob Hansen hates more, me or you?
As me, for sure.
Why you?
I'm like I don't know.
Did you ever
like
say fuck?
annoying
I'm sorry. Did you ever say F Jacob Hansen to thousands of people?
You know, I don't think I did, but I still think he finds me more annoying than you, RFM.
Well, it's probably one of your innate gifts.
Mm-hmm. I'm cute and I annoy the out of people.
Yes. So this is something, it's called Ask Me Anything live stream. What is the story behind this, Cultch?
Okay, so this was, I figured, you know, we had some things to hate watch and then we'd get through those. And I figured we could talk a little bit about the recent Jacob Hansen stuff. Because he's kind of sworn me off recently. And this is the story of why.
He's washed his hands of you, has he?
I guess he did, but he's made some false allegations that kind of pissed me off too.
Are you calling Jacob Hansen a liar?
Well, yes, he is a liar. He's lied at times. This is either a lie or he's taking bad information from people. And for a guy who prides himself on his critical skills, to buy hearsay, you know, real easy doesn't say a whole lot for him. But do you need the timestamp for this? I think this was just a link, but I've got a timestamp if you need it.
See, I was wondering about this, and I was a little bit worried that this was going to be a link that he wanted to play instead of. I could tell everybody.
I tried to load the video, but it wouldn't load here.
Yeah, I can click this. What's the timestamp you've got?
37:55. This is
Bill
an
can take
Ask
it.
Me
Bill can do this.
Anything that Jacob did. He's done a couple of these where he goes on and people pay him money to answer questions.
Is that Jacob and my boy Sherman?
That's Sherman, yeah.
I think that's my boy Sherman.
So I think right here he gets a question from this weird guy who's in the chat who is like internet stalked me on my channel before.
So this isn't you.
No, this is not me asking him a question. This is somebody asking him a question about me, and then he kind of goes off. And pay attention to the stuff he says at the back. I think it's the next one. It's not Omega. It's the next one that comes up.
It happens in like 4 seconds or something.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Braden Weiss asks, not sure if it's already been asked already. Could we see you in Cultural Hall on MBR's channel? Who's Cultural Hall?
He knows. This is their dumb thing they do.
Trying to remember. Oh, he's that guy. He's that guy that makes videos about me sometimes.
Is that the one you tweeted about?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's who it is.
Let me look this up.
Anyway, that's kind of an inside joke, everybody. I know Cultch is funny. It's funny. I've actually said to Cultural Hall, his name's Rob, by the way. I've said to Rob, like, Rob, let's just go talk to each other. I've asked him like 20 times, like, just come on here. Let's just have a conversation, dude. Like,
sounds like harassment.
Men. Like, this isn't like teenage girl time. And I even told him, I was like, why don't you go on Mormon book reviews? And Steve Pinecker's totally willing to make it happen. He'll moderate it and all that. But
that works so great for Jim Bennett.
Here's the thing, guys. Let's just be real honest. Rob's not a serious guy. Okay, this is not a serious person. He's emotionally acting out, and he has 27 thumbnails or pieces of visual content on his page, either in posts or in live streams or whatever, with my face on it. Okay.
I'm looking at one right now. Clout Shark. We got
that's
like the
weird.
Jaws cover.
Oh, by the way, Clout Shark. That's a funny one. So it's funny. People are like, Clout Shark. And I asked him, I think I did one time I like super chatted him. I was like, Cultch, or Rob, what, like a Cultch, a Clout Shark. So a Clout Shark is somebody who's trying to expand their channel and get their voice out there more to more people. Okay. Guilty. Like, what? Do you not even think about
Finally
this?
admits it.
This is not a seriously thoughtful person. He's insulting me with some name that when you actually think about it, you're like, yeah, duh, you are as well. Like, you're just upset because, like, I actually have some people that listen to me.
Sheesh.
So anyway,
hard on Cultural here.
What was that?
I
No,
said,
it's just
sheesh.
honestly, here's what I think. My honest
Okay,
opinion is that it's funny. The guy is just like, it is really funny when someone just freaks out that bad that he's just creating. I mean, no joke, guys. There is probably 40 hours of content where they're talking about me.
Probably not
That
that
is
much.
ridiculous. And all I gotta do is say something like this right here. He's gonna clip this and put this in his episodes and all that.
Uh-oh.
And he'll talk about me for like the next 3 months. And just so you guys know, any publicity is good publicity.
Has it been 3 months?
If he wants to go out there and make more content about me, that's fine. Interesting thing. I've gotten these messages before where people said that they were listening to anti-Mormon content. It popped up. But then because they were listening to the anti-Mormon content, I popped up in their feed. And then they listened to my channel. I literally have someone who said that happened and they got baptized.
And that so really happened. I know that happened. Bill, can you freeze the frame here for a second?
So, Rob.
Okay. Now
I can bring it back up easy.
That last part, he just goes, keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Oh, yeah. I just needed the phrase framed.
Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second. You can put it back up.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. Look at me. I'm putting it on. Okay, there he is. Now, I don't like that one so much. So if you can go back a little bit just for, what's his face? Jacob right there. Well, that's good enough. Okay, so here's the thing. Cultch, if you were to take your hair and move it from the top of your head to the bottom of your face, and get a Nevada ball cap like that and put it on, I couldn't tell the two of you apart. This is your doppelganger.
Jacob is. I came first.
This is your identical twin. You were separated at birth. You and Jacob Hansen. How does it feel?
Well, I think there's some differences.
There is a difference. One difference is Jacob always looks like he just pulled an all-nighter. Like his eyes look tired.
Yeah.
He needs more sleep. Jacob, get some more sleep. Get a good night's rest.
Okay. So is there anything else? Let me see here. I think there are a few more.
No.
I mean,
so that was.
Yeah, give me a second.
See? I removed that one, and I went and I grabbed a couple more because I just couldn't resist from your shorts.
Do you have that slide that's got the messages from him? It should have two.
Oh, let's take a look.
I'm sure it's on there.
Yeah. So first up, let's look at this one.
Where it said 2 hours later.
This is the one just before it.
Yes. Yeah. So there's 2 hours later because I'm trying to show that. So Jacob's doing this AMA, this Ask Me Anything. And, and he's saying those two things to remember is any publicity is good publicity. Then he gives the bullshit story about him getting someone baptized from them seeing anti-Mormon content and then seeing his. And then at the very end, he goes, keep it coming. And then it goes 2 hours later. He goes onto Twitter and he puts this. He goes, so today I found out some things about Cultch that made me decide to block him. A normal person, when they block someone on Twitter, they just block them. They don't write something up to let everybody know why they're blocking him. So he makes some allegations. He kind of talks about he's been making a lot of content about me, which is true. I got a lot of Jacob content. And then he says, and then today I found out about his attempts to intentionally dox a friend of mine and other unethical online behavior. Now, this is as true as that story he told about the person getting baptized because they saw his stuff. He says, I gave him a chance to be a grown-up and have a conversation. And then he says, feel free to reach out to me. So he's cutting and running. 2 hours before this, he's saying, keep it coming. Any publicity is good publicity.
Right.
Now he's saying, I'm a little bitch and I'm gonna take off. And he's using lies from people as his cover for doing it. And so after this happened, this pissed me off. I was like, you know what? I never wanted to talk to Jacob, but now that he's pulled this, I'll talk to him. So I offered for Steve to set up a phone conversation. Guess who turned it down?
Jacob?
Not me.
Jacob turned it down?
Jacob thought I would record it and then use it for nefarious purposes. So that was the reasoning I heard for him turning it down.
Not even true. That's another BS excuse.
Yeah. And then he countered with you come on with Steve and it's public and everyone gets to watch. And I talked with Steve and I said, I'll do a recorded conversation, like a Zoom call that Steve records. So he's got the evidence.
Right.
And then if we all decide we want to put it out, we can put it out. And then it's been crickets ever since. So, and that was like 3 weeks ago.
Okay. We must be
And
busy.
so yeah, he's busy. And so I felt bad. I felt bad for Jacob because obviously I know he likes to say that like about me, he's acting out, he's doing this. What Jacob's behavior has told me is that I have clearly gotten under his skin, which he's not used to because Jacob rolls with a lot of punches and doesn't let a lot of stuff affect him. But for some reason, I have really gotten to him, to the fact that he had to make a public post making up stories about why he was going to block me on Twitter. And I told Jacob before this, like, if I am causing you distress, if you are anxious, are you having issues because I am making content about you, just let me know and I'll stop. And of course, he never did. Instead, he just made stuff up and ran. So I gave him about a 3-week break. But I've seen Jacob talking about people and saying they're public figures. I can post about them. Julie Hanks, this girl Jenny Gage, I know he's done stuff about her. And so you know what, Jacob, you're a public figure. So tough shit, man. I can make stuff about you. So your 3-week fast is over.
In this picture, Jacob looks kind of like a public primate. But having said that, I included this one because this was the funny animated interview that you created ostensibly between Jacob Hansen and Austin Fife about Austin Fife's backstory on his Light on Truth letter. And this came out a couple months ago. Austin Fife gets interviewed by Steve Pinecker. And of course, Cody and I had just a wonderful time taking that apart. And that went up last Sunday, I think it was. The thing is this, is that this is still pretty much his story. Austin Fife's story on the background of the Light on Truth letter. He hasn't really added any details, at least not any details that don't contradict other details he's given elsewhere.
Welcome back to A Thoughtful Faith. I'm your host, Jacob Hansen, and today we have back...
We should, by the way, should we just warn people, if you're not hearing the vocal side of this conversation, you probably have earbuds in, or you're only playing out of one speaker. It's the right speaker, at least for me, it's the right speaker. The right speaker is
Thank you, Bill.
Words, and otherwise you'll just hear some very faint music. So I'm going to back it up just a touch here again and let that start. But you'll want to change your sound settings, 2 earbuds in, or make sure both speakers are working.
Welcome back to A Thoughtful Faith. I'm your host, Jacob Hansen, and today we have back on the program the author of the Light and Truth letter, Austin Fife. Welcome back.
Good to be back in a safe space, Jacob, where I'll receive absolutely zero pushback or criticism.
Austin, how many faithful podcasts have you done now?
5. But I've been on Ward Radio about 10 times now.
Awesome. Ward Radio lets me come on and push my bullcrap too. How much pushback have you received from me or other faithful podcasts?
0.
You said you wrote the Light and Truth letter for the critics of the church. Is that right?
Yes.
And how many critics have you spoken to?
None.
Wonderful. The critics say they have doubts about your faith crisis, Austin. Can you give us a detailed explanation of your faith crisis?
Sure. In 2014, I had a faith crisis. My wife said, Austin, if you can find more light and truth elsewhere, I'll leave the church with you.
Okay.
The first thought I had was, hey, that would make a really good title for a book. And then the second thing I did was look for more light and truth. And I never found any. So I stayed Mormon.
Uh-huh.
Then, 10 years later, I wrote a book about it. This is my story.
Very detailed. And how much is the book?
$17.98.
And where can people get it?
You can get it on Amazon.
And how many have you sold?
A lot.
Dang, I gotta write a fetching book.
Am I prophetic or what, RFM?
It was amazing. I guess the only things that we found out is that when he went looking for more light and truth, he didn't read anything. He didn't go to any different churches. He didn't do anything.
It's easy to not find it
the
if
Mormon
you don't
church
actually
every
look
Sunday
for it.
and finally got over it after a few months, as he describes it.
Wasn't that crazy? Steve's like, so what'd you do? He's like, oh, I just kept going to church.
Yeah.
And how long did this last? Oh, it's like a month or 2.
A few months, which means, 2 weeks.
He got all that way not reading. He said he didn't read books. Yeah. He listened to some podcasts, but he couldn't name any podcast that stood out.
Mormon
in his mind.
Stories.
Yeah,
and he named
John
yours
was still
too, pal.
Mormon.
Mormon Discussions. I've heard that he said that one wrong. It really wasn't Mormon Discussions. It was Mormon Think.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Is what he changed it to. But Mormon Think isn't a podcast. It's something you have to actually read. So I don't know. There are a lot of things out there that start with Mormon, so I get that. That's why I put Mormon at the end of my title instead of the beginning.
Smart.
It's such a strange. I mean, he contradicts himself so much and is so non-specific. And then anytime he does give a detail, by the way, I listened to your episode, RFM, and I just thought it was phenomenal. Every time he does give a detail out, he contradicts himself. In one place, he says he's an atheist at that time. Then he retracts and says he was agnostic. But the Light and Truth letter still says atheist. When he's asked what he reads, when he uses sources, he uses them incorrectly. When he's asked what he's read or watched, he can't name anything. When he's asked to be specific about his faith crisis, he has no details. It's such a strange thing for this guy to be out there claiming he's the faith crisis solver for the believers.
I know you'd think that he was being questioned for the Lindbergh baby kidnapping or something.
Yeah.
Why does he have to say all these contradictory statements? He's just telling a story, right? How hard can it be?
Yeah, it's his story.
And he doesn't even know what it is. When he went on Pineker's podcast, I was so excited. I was like, finally, he's going to get someone who's not throwing him softballs. He's going to have to answer some questions. We're going to get some details about stuff. I literally know less about him now after he went on Steve's show than I did before. I came away more confused about his story.
Right. I am very confused. I claim to know nothing about him. All I know is that it's substantially different from what he's saying. And I don't know why, but there's got to be a reason.
Mm-hmm. And he said he's going to take a break. And where do we see him today, RFM? He's doing shorts. Doing shorts in his laundry room for Ward Radio.
Well, that's the place to do shorts, is in your laundry room.
Yeah.
I learned
the one
that.
with the wallpaper that looks like Colby Reddish's shirt.
There was a funny line where RFM, you said that he's talking out of Kobe's pocket, and I thought that was hilarious.
That was actually Colby.
Oh yeah, it was a hilarious line.
Colby's the funny one when we get together.
Colby.
So here's something else here.
This is the last one.
Oh, right. Now, you want to introduce this one?
Yes, this is just a short. Carden did like a solo episode where he was talking about critics, and this is a little spot where he's trying to talk about tapirs, how it can be loan shifting.
Yeah.
That horses, Book of Mormon horses are tapirs.
This is a great clip of Carden because this is what he acts like after a couple of shots of Roundup.
Evangelicals for 200 years have had this Book of Mormon fake because horses, right? Never mind that it could just as easily be simple loan shifting of language that happens over time during the process of translation that Joseph Smith engaged in. They don't realize that it wasn't us that called it tapirs. There was actually local American Indian tribes when the Spaniards showed up that called their horses lightning tapirs. So you're not making fun of us when you make fun of people that think horses might just be translational loan shifting.
What?
You're actually making fun of American Indian tribes, which I think is a bad look.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So besides the fact that it might actually just be simple loan shifting and, part of dynamic translation, people come at us hard with archaeology that is actually not even kind of, it's updating in favor of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the truth claims of the Book of Mormon consistently across many of these anachronistic claims haters of the church make.
Wow. This is why I say that I didn't even have to show up at that debate to win.
Right?
Mhm.
RFM, I watch some of this stuff and I just
Sorry, Bill.
Carden just talks and I go, that's a short. I don't have to I'll add a little music. Boom. Perfect.
A little carnival music, a little calliope.
Yeah. That's what they're working with over there.
It's a strange thing when on one hand, you do this loan shifting from horse to tapir, but then the Book of Mormon people are working in reverse where they're like, we could have had you, Joseph, say woolly mammoth, but we want you to come up with these cool words, kurlam and kunam, and and then the tight translation, the loose translation, we've mentioned 1,000 times, 19th century material, and it's such a weird thing to now look, if you just allow a little movement here, give us a little bit of some free space to move around, the evidence is actually on our side. And it's just a weird thing.
I thought the claim that us saying tapirs is hurtful to indigenous people. I thought that was quite the claim. When you make fun of us, you're making fun of them.
Apparently, lightning tapir is out there. I'm looking it up with quotations around it, of course. There's some guy on Instagram named Nick Wee who says, another character from my world building sketches, lightning paper guy. What do you know?
Nice.
Oh, it's lightning tapir guy. So obviously it's entering into the lexicon.
I just want to note to people, the phone lines are open. 662-667-6667, 662-667-6667. And then I'll also take the link to the show. If somebody wants to come in studio, you can do that as well. I'd love to know, Cultch, what are you working on? What's the next couple of things you've got in your mind as a project?
Oh man. So tomorrow night I've got Michelle Brady Stone that's coming on my show, my Thursday night show. And that's cool. She actually got a lot of she reached out to me. and asked to come on. I got an email from her.
And you said yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I did. I've been doing a deep dive on Michelle, watching a lot of her stuff. I'm excited to have her on. It's going to be good. For people who don't know, Michelle is a monogamy affirmer for Joseph Smith, meaning she doesn't believe that he practiced polygamy. And as a faithful member, it's a very interesting take to have.
Is that really, are you kidding about that? Or is that the name they've come up with? So they're not polygamy deniers.
That's it.
They're monogamy affirmers.
Even John said it today, because John said he spoke with her on the phone for about 2 hours today. And when he mentioned her and was describing her to the audience, he said she preferred to be called a monogamy affirmer. So I'm gonna go with that. That's
really going to catch on. Monogamy affirmer.
So that's cool. I'm doing that tomorrow night, and then I have plans to dig into the RFM versus Midnight Morons debate.
Wow.
And, basically kind of do a hate watch of that and make it into an episode. I might do that live, or I may make it a regular video. I'm not sure yet, but that's what I've got coming down the pipe. Oh, and then next week, Colby Reddish and Jim Bennett are going to be on, and we are going to be talking about William Lane Craig's divine command theory and how that kind of relates to Mormonism, like with Laban getting his head cut off by Nephi and the Lafferty brothers doing what they did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's coming up.
How's Jim doing these days? Is he still singing with the Motab choir?
He's in Peru right now. The Motab choir's down there. Because I was going to have him on before the Michelle stuff happened. I was going to have him on tomorrow night. And he was like, I can't do it, man. The Tab choir is going to be in Peru. So he's drinking Incan cola. I don't know. They've got this soda down there that's famous.
Ink and cola?
Like Inca cola.
Incan,
like, I guess that's
cola.
Yeah, it's like where the Incas are. Yeah. He posted a picture on Instagram of it.
Well, fantastic. I hope you're having more fun in, where is it again?
They're probably in Lima, remember Inca. Would be my guess.
Where is it? Chile, Argentina?
He's in Peru.
Peru, yes. See, Peru. I hope he has more fun in Peru than he did in Mexico.
Me too.
That's an inside joke.
What, when you create the things you do, are there any cool programs you're using? Just as a little side note, as we wait for maybe a phone call or two to come in.
Oh, sure.
What do you use to put your stuff together?
I'm using CapCut for my video editing. Mostly because it's really convenient to use on my phone. I'm kind of a weirdo. I don't do video editing on my MacBook. I'll either use my iPad or I'll use my phone just because it's convenient. While I'm on the go, I can do stuff with it. So I'm kind of a weirdo like that. But for those AI looking videos that I do, like the Austin Fife one, I have an app that's called Avatarify, where you can put a picture of somebody into it, and then the camera's looking at your face. So when you're moving your head or you're moving your mouth to do the words, it's doing those. So that's what I use for that. And then I just throw it into CapCut and edit it all together. Yeah, it takes time, but it's not super hard. Nothing I do is really hard, to be honest with you.
All right, we do have a couple calls, RFM, if we want to take those.
Yes, let's take some calls for Cultch.
Let's do it.
All right, let me grab the first one, and hopefully this works. Caller, are you there?
Oh, I'm here. Hello.
Give me a second to see if I can't figure out if it's on my end.
I can hear it.
I don't have anything.
Oh, you can hear him. I
to
can't.
say, really.
Yeah,
like
okay.
I haven't thought
go
this
ahead.
out or
I'll
anything.
let him talk. Sorry.
I haven't really thought this out. So, I mean, what do you guys? I mean, I just watched that funny little clip they had on of that apologist going off, just kind of crazy. And that's when I came into the show.
Which apologist was it?
Cardin Pesticide Ellis, I think, is who he's talking about. So
can he hear us, Bill?
I don't even know who this is. Jacob, is that you?
Hello?
Jacob?
I'm not hearing you on the phone.
He can't hear me on the phone.
Oh,
so we can. RFM, you and I can hear him.
I can't hear him.
Bill,
yeah.
Ask him what his name is.
Yeah, I'm having some technical
So
difficulty.
let me
I can't
do
hear
this. Let me put him on speaker.
phone.
This will be the best way to do this.
I figure we can hear him and you can talk.
Hey,
to
caller.
him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I hear somebody on the phone now.
Yeah, so they won't be able to hear you. What's the first name, by the way? What's the name, caller?
My name is Jason. I'm
Jason.
from Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I did not catch the call either at all, you two. So you'll have to sort of pick
really
up what
said
it is.
anything yet, except he called in and he was kind of surprised to be here, and hopefully he's formulated a question by now.
Yeah. What's the question, caller?
Well, I just came in and saw that you guys have a phone number to give you guys a call to talk, and I don't know if I have a question. I just saw the video of the apologist going a little nuts and thought it was fun, so I thought I'd call to get in on the festivities.
Oh, I got you.
I'm a member, but I kind of stopped following all this apologetic stuff about 10 years ago once I learned about the Book of Abraham.
Yeah, that's all it takes, huh?
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Well, I do appreciate you calling in. If you don't have a question,
Well, I hope you guys get the technical difficulty worked out.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you guys are having callers call in. So
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, try to join Friday night, Mormonism After Dark. That's a great chance to call in, and we'll just shoot the shit for a minute.
Yes, absolutely, we will.
Okay.
We've decided
Take it
to
easy.
We've decided
See
to
you,
consider
Jason.
the technical difficulties charming.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. And then I've got 2 more calls on here. I'll try to do it through the speaker, and
okay,
it'll be like the old times RFM. They won't be able to hear you guys, so we'll just have to wing through it the best we can. All right, caller, what's the name?
Hey, what's going on?
Good. What's the name?
Cultch will know me by Stacker.
Okay.
Oh, Stacker.
Excellent.
Okay. Cool.
Excellent. What's your question for him?
Hey, man. We've been going back and forth with Jacob Hansen on Twitter all the time. Jacob's asking me to debate him all the time as well. Want to get Colby on there. Maybe I'll accept the debate and go with Colby. But Cultch, dude,
Yes.
I'm a PMO, right?
Yes.
Going to church, don't believe it. And I've been pretty active on X.
Mm-hmm.
And Cultch has been a big part of my own processing things. So I just want to give a shout out to Cultch for being cool on X with me too. So
Awesome.
Thanks, dude.
shout out to you, Cultch, brother.
Yeah. He
Thanks,
said
man.
thanks. Yeah, he said thanks a lot.
So Stacker knows that.
Thanks, caller.
Hey guys, we could go back and forth a different time, but there's some crazy world with Jacob Hansen, with Carden. Carden blocks me, but actually kind of Kwaku and some other guys are actually cooler than you think. But a lot of these guys there, like Jacob will take my stuff. He'll take a screenshot of what I write. He will edit it and then repost it again.
Jacob
these
does
guys
that all
are
the
not
time.
honest
What?
people online either.
Are you saying he changes
they
what
are
you?
actively
Hey,
dishonest,
yeah.
sharing information that affects people.
Is Stacker actually saying?
Caller, hang on a
It's like a
second.
daily war on there.
Yeah,
That-
Stacker,
that he-
hang on 1 second, Stacker.
Yeah, I think he's saying that Jacob Hansen takes things that Stacker writes, changes them around to change their meaning, and then posts it as if that's what Stacker really meant. Is that correct? And if so, what's the worst example of this?
Hey, Stacker. So RFM is he's asking if what Jacob's doing is sort of rearranging what you say in order to make it mean something different.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's your best example of
I'll
that?
take a screenshot.
Yeah.
I'll take a screenshot of a debate. He will edit it out, and so you only see like half of what you say. So he'll use that to prove his own point.
Yeah, and Ward Radio's done that a bunch over the years too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've taken lots of things out of context. They've taken things that I was interviewing a guest and reiterating something they said about their life, and then they played it as if I was talking about my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Constant straw man.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. It's a weird game.
Those people. I mean, even today, there were the conversation on Twitter was about why the 12, why don't they do any of the apologetics, right? That was a question I posed on Twitter. I do just a lot of questions. And there was someone that commented and said, they quoted Jacob Hansen, that it's in one of his videos. They quoted Jacob as if he's like the authority. So these people believe this guy, right? Even though he's very dishonest, they believe it.
Yeah.
They quoted him saying that the leaders depend on the members to do it. They want the members' job to do it. That was one of Jacob's videos. Jacob has his own what do they call it? Cultch. His
collective witness model.
Collective witness model. Yeah.
His own epistemology.
Yeah.
His collective witness model. It's something that Jacob made up.
His own invention. Yep, that's what Cultch said.
You know I heard you guys mumbling in the background, but it's it's how the church leaders determine doctrine. So if one leader says something that's false doctrine, like Brigham Young about blood atonement or whatever, the collective witness model, Jacob, it's his own apologetic for excusing bad things a leader say or false doctrine they say or contradictory things.
I'm going to let you go, caller, but we'll respond to that off the air, okay? From your call.
All right, see you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Stacker.
Thanks, Stacker. The collective witness model can work. A Jehovah's Witness could use the collective witness model. A Seventh-day Adventist, and to be honest, none of us really know exactly what it means because it is his own self-created epistemology in order for Mormonism to be true. It's the way he prevents the arrows from getting through.
Right. Well, there are 5 different categories of things, right? And depending on the question, he will weight the different elements of the 5 in order to reach the desired conclusion that the church is true. That's why he has to have 5. If he only had 1, he couldn't do that. So the more things that you have in your collective witness model, the easier it is to jury rig the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's created his own epistemology so he can be right about anything. He's always right.
Yes, he is.
Which is crazy. I have to give a shout out. So there's a person, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Porch Time
yes,
guys,
I've seen them a little bit, like 30 seconds.
So flip over there on Porch Time. One night I was watching them, and he referred to Jacob's Facebook group, Thoughtful Saints, as the I wrote it down so I make sure I get it right. He called them the collective bitches quorum. It's more what they are, and I thought that was so great. So Flip, shout out to you, buddy. I love that.
Latter Daily Digest is saying the collective witless model. Brad Whitbeck likes that one.
Collective Whitbeck model. There you go.
Yes. Brad Witless. I'm sure he's.
Oh, no, I think Bill's muted.
No way.
Yeah, I had to.
I think he is.
I was. We got one phone call left. I just want to give a heads up, and I don't mean any offense. This is me trying to navigate this during a week when the phone lines won't work as normal. But the last caller says ASL interpreter translation. So I just want to make sure. I don't know what the name is, so we'll see how this goes. But caller, what's the name? Oh, let me try this again. Go ahead. Hello? All right, you guys aren't hearing anything that time, correct?
I'm sure they're talking furiously.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me try something.
It's ASL.
Disconnect. Caller?
I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead. What's the name?
I can't hear you guys anymore.
Can you hear me? What's
the studio?
Can you hear me? What's the name?
Hey, there we go. I think I can hear you.
All right. What's the name?
Hey, you guys there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you tell me what your name is?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Billy.
All right,
I've called you guys before. I've talked to you guys before about interpretation stuff, and I just wanted to just respond to the Cardinellis talking about Tapirs and stuff like that, and just give you guys a suggestion that anytime anybody brings up anything about translation, all you have to do is ask the question, the person doing the translation's goal is to do what? And the answer is to communicate something.
Yeah. The Joseph Smith's job is to put everything into English words that we all clearly understand what it is that's being said.
Do you know why? Do you know why it doesn't say tapir instead of horse in the Book of Mormon, Billy?
And Billy went silent, so I think he cut off or left the call.
He said no. Why RFM?
Because Joseph Smith didn't know what the hell a tapir was.
Yeah.
That's why. Besides, I don't even know. He had an incredible imagination, Joseph Smith. Incredible imagination. I don't even know if that imagination would have conceived of people riding on tapirs into battle and having tapirs pull chariots.
You seen that Nemo video of the
You need
people,
the apologist
right?
to have an imagination like that. His video. Yes, he's taken quite an interest in the preservation of tapirs, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He's a good boy, and he's got that British tapir behind him when he records.
Yes. You can tell by the
Yeah,
accent.
that's nice. Mm-hmm. It's like, hello, I'm a tapir.
I'm a tapir. You want to make something of it? I think that's Australian, but I'm not sure. They're kind of related, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
Bill's
Bill.
muted again.
I've got a bottle opener that's in the shape of a tapir. Ryan McKnight, Mormon Leaks, gave it to me as a gift. And anyway, my girlfriend thought it was an aardvark. I mean, tapirs aren't the normal animal we all know. Joseph wasn't aware that back in the day in Central America, those things were walking around. But the caller makes the point that the whole point of having a translator, the reason God goes, Joseph, take this Reformed Egyptian and give it to those people in a way that they can read what's happening. And for it to be where some words are English words, but that's not what was meant. And other words could have been just said, like you could have said woolly mammoth. You could have just said
Neas,
elephant.
Shum, and Ziph are three more. Yeah.
But he's so good that Nephi is an Egyptian name and Lehi is an Egyptian name. And the moments where it's like, oh, the translation came through with Reformed Egyptian turning into English so that the reader could clearly understand. And then the other times where you're like, no, you just have to make some allowances here. It's something different going on.
Yes.
It's strange. Anyway, those are our calls for the night.
God must feel really bad about the people who have left the church over that whole tapir thing.
That's weird. Yeah.
It's like, didn't see that coming.
Tapirs broke my shelf.
Otherwise, I would have had Joseph Smith write tapir instead of horse. Damn it.
It's God's fault.
That's what God says. Me, damn it.
And if he can say Kulon or whatever, if he can say that, he can say tapir.
He should.
Yeah. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Hey, this has been so much fun. Everybody, I think and hope that you've enjoyed it too. Bill, you're wonderful as always. Cultch, great to have you on the show. What do you want to say
Thanks
to the
for having me
audience
on.
before we leave? This is your chance to plug yourself.
Oh, okay. Let me just plug my channel. Go watch my stuff, man. Go look. You can look up Cultch or probably Cultural Hall. If you put that in, I'll probably still show up for now. The algorithm hasn't kicked me out yet. But yeah, if you like the hate watch, that's right. If you like the hate watch stuff, I got a whole playlist you can watch, and I got a whole bunch of other good shit too. So yeah, check it out. And thanks again for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
A lot of fun.
Well, it was great having you on. Thanks everybody for watching. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Please join us next week on Wednesday at 6:20 p.m. Mountain Time for the next episode of Mormonism Live. And remember, it is Mormon Hate Watch Theater 3000.